Sure, you're enjoying the beautiful September weather, but soon this will look like this. And as winter approaches, our bodies become more susceptible to influenza viruses known as the flu.
And obviously this time of year, flu season rolls around, it can result in lost time for workers, but also it predisposes those people who are at risk, the elderly, people with chronic diseases, to ongoing diseases or exacerbation of current illnesses, which can be very severe and sometimes fatal.
Margaret Collard knows the risk of influenza. As an ulcer patient, Margaret gets flu shots annually.
No problem. I went to the doctor and I seen a sign saying about the flu shots, and I thought, well, as long as I'm downtown, I'll get that taken care of too.
At this flu shot clinic at SMDC, shots cost $15. That's a price many employers and insurance companies are willing to pay, a lot cheaper than a week of sick leave. Brenda Quaid is an employee at SMDC. She got her first flu shot ever in front of our cameras.
I'll be working with the public, and there'll be probably a few sick people coming in, so I figured, so I don't have to call in sick, I'd be safe that way.
Both Brenda and Margaret said the shot didn't hurt a bit, and experts stress you cannot get influenza from the flu shot. There is a small percentage of people that should not have the flu shot, but for the majority of the population, this syringe is the best way to stave off a long, miserable battle with a nasty virus. In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
Is that for like everybody? Like a family of 4 would be $40?
What's your favorite one that you've learned about?
Probably the banker.
Is that what you want to be someday, or is there a different job?
No, I want to be a dentist.
Probably about what kind of jobs people do and stuff around the community to help keep it safe and healthy.
Northern Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin are rich in logging history. Early settlers moved to the area for jobs they thought would last forever. Now, nearly 98% of the mature white pine forest, which once dominated the landscape, is gone. But the logging of those pines continues. Environmentalists like Lynn Rogers want it to stop.
This is a site where on public land, quarter to half-grown white pines were cut only 120 years into their 400-year life cycle.
Rogers speaks for the White Pine Society, a group dedicated to bringing back white pines to save the animals which depend on them.
Large old white pines hold 80% of our eagle's nests and 77% of our osprey nests. But they're being cut when they're only a quarter grown because the money grows faster in the bank than the trees would have increased in value if they are left to grow.
Jack Rahila comes from a long line of logging families that depend on the white pine for their livelihood.
White pine is a deep and true part of my legacy, of a lumber family that's been here all of this century, and I want to see white pine for the next generations.
Rahila's company practices selective harvesting, which means removing only the old or dying trees. He has also started an aggressive planting program for white pine, which is an important first step.
We're very, very careful about not losing our white pine sites. You know, that is intolerable to us. In fact, we want to take some of the white pine sites that we know once existed, where white pine once existed, and we want to convert them back to white pine.
But the rest of the logging industry has been slower to respond. The Minnesota legislature has just now set aside money to save the trees. $1.5 million is being used to set aside white pine stands and plant new ones. Lynn Rogers hopes it's not too late.
We knew back in 1962 how short white pines were, and we went ahead with the same reckless practices and reduced what remained by half in the last 30 years.
Coexistence with nature has always been an issue in modern society, and the debate over the proper use and management of areas such as this will undoubtedly continue as long as there are wild and natural areas left to fight over. Jason Poole, Channel 6 News.
So we come in the spring to trim the canary reed grass so that all summer long the trees have full use of the available sunshine. And then we come back in the fall again and trim it one more time so that as the canary reed grass dies in the fall, it doesn't fall over and cover the trees.
McGregor schools are calling on local taxpayers for money, more than $200,000 each year for the next 7 years. Some residents say their taxes are already too high, and others say that they'd be paying for someone else's mistakes.
We're forced into it, more or less, from past mistakes. We're going to have the high school because that's a big industry in the community.
School Superintendent Connie Hayes says that the district needs the money for 2 reasons: to build programs that will keep enrollment and revenues up, and to get out of debt.
And we also have a very large debt to pay off, over $500,000, which was created due to mismanagement by the former business manager.
The money stolen from the school was replaced by insurance, but the mishandling of school funds has led to the district's current financial problems. School officials say they hope voters will agree to pass a referendum to bail the district out.
What we're interested in is using the dollars to pay off the debt and to rebuild some of the programs that we've cut and to build some new programs that will help maintain our student population.
The district wants to add programs such as this interactive classroom that allows students to take class for college credit. It will be up to the voters to decide whether it's worth the cost.
Well, it's cost of doing business. As long as the people support us, we can keep going. They know that we have to pay higher taxes, so it'll reflect later on down the road.
In McGregor, Justin Acree, Channel 6 News.
SMBC, I'd like to present this to you. this wonderful check here.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Well, we hope that everyone will come out for this. This is something that we probably have never seen home built in this city before. It's probably one of the largest shows ever, and we're excited about it. All the artists are, and we hope everyone will come.
From a distance, some kids in Washington Elementary in Hibbing thought their classmates were smoking. At a closer look, they noticed the cigarettes were made of bubble gum.
Some kids were walking around faking to be smoking, and it wasn't very cool or anything like that, so I just thought that I should tell them that and stuff.
At the time, the kids were learning about the dangers of smoking. That's when these students decided to write the candy companies and ask them to stop making bubble gum that looks like cigarettes. Now to demonstrate what these kids noticed. Look at these 3 packages. Can you tell which are candy? Well, it's these 2. In fact, this one is so real, it has a cellophane wrapper. And these ones? Well, they look just like real cigarettes. Tyler Milton is one of the kids who wrote the candy company.
My letter said that I would like you to change your gum because kids may be walking around and the police may be thinking that you may be having the gum in your hand and maybe real smoking.
It took 5 months of letter writing when finally, a response from Swell Candies in Philadelphia. The candy maker agreed to change the Heyman gum immediately. The new gum will have different packaging so it no longer resembles cigarettes. But these students say their battle is not over.
The cases of the beef jerky, because maybe younger kids see you taking that out and they think that it's really cool and they might find a case of it just laying around and they don't know any better and they might take some out and start chewing.
Students say they now plan to write other candy and food companies that may be sending mixed messages to kids. In Hibbing, Adam May, Channel 6 News. Adam May, NBC News.
Someone else in our school brought me a little candy not long ago that was a caramel, and it said Mary Jane on the outside.
I would like to see them scoot down the hill just 2 miles. Duluth or Superior needs to be made in place for those kinds of facilities. So when you're traveling the skyline, people forget about the far west.
Friday night, just south of Sturgeon Lake, residents were evacuated from the comfort of their homes. The hunt for a suspected murderer was underway. It's not the usual scene for the rural neighborhood, but there has been trouble here before, and now residents are sounding off.
So the bottom line is, you'd like to see something done.
I would like to see that the township and the county would take the responsibility in order to clean the area up, whatever it takes.
Vern Meyer moved to the community commonly called Hogan's Acres, hoping for a quiet and scenic retirement spot. Instead, he's found a neighborhood with a reputation. And he's not the only one disappointed. Over the years, Frank Johnson says he's seen several drug busts in the area.
Yes, we want a little peace and quiet. That's all we want. We just don't need this sort of crap. It's just too much.
Hogan's Acres residents are now calling for action from the township in hopes Friday night's scene is never repeated.
We would like to see some of it cleaned up and straightened out, so it was a peaceful area and should be.
Come this Friday, beware. Devils, ghosts, and ghouls of the worst kind are coming to a neighborhood near you. Along with the costumes and candy, parents need to use some extra caution to keep the little ones safe.
We'll bring flashlights, and they don't have masks on that are, you know, the entire face mask. They just have little masks around their eyes, or I'll do their faces up in makeup and things, but I usually don't have a full face mask on them. And I watch them, I walk with them, and they have to say please and thank you and all that.
Stores across the Northland have a wide variety of items that will make your kids' trick-or-treating a bit safer. Everything from mini flashlights and light sticks to this reflective tape that you can find in any hardware store. Even if you don't have kids, you're going to need to watch out for others darting in and out of cars Halloween night.
Motorists should turn their headlights on Halloween night early. Since it's daylight savings, it does get dark early, and they should watch out for the traffic, the child traffic out there. Pedestrian traffic is going to be high this year. It sounds like it's going to be a nice Halloween night, so they'll be out there. And it is a Friday night, so we're going to have a lot more traffic, so you should drive slowly and watch out for the children.
With these safety tips in mind, Halloween can be both scary and safe.
I might be a gigapet.
In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
Cause nobody answered when I called your name.
The dream obviously would be, you know, stardom, but, you know, that's not my highest expectation, you know, just a job in music.
Jim Davidson recently competed in the Minnesota Country Music Festival.
Well, I've been singing really strong now for about 4 years, mainly around town, and why I do it is the fulfillment of what used to be a dream, and still may be a dream.
Davidson is now one step closer to making his dream a reality. He won 4 categories at the State Country Music Festival last weekend, including the grand prize, which is a trip to Branson, Missouri.
That's like one of the biggest music capitals of the nation now, so hopefully get to see how the shows are ran and how to get maybe my foot in the door down in Branson.
Jim's been singing country music most of his life. He says the road to stardom has been a long one, and in the meantime, he'll keep his job as a banker.
I have to keep my day job, that's for sure.
It's still a dream. And it's the country music business is the toughest business to try to get your foot in the door, so I'm definitely keeping my day job.
But while he's at work, he keeps his awards close by, reminding him to keep pursuing a career in country music. In Duluth, Adam May, Channel 6 News.
Beans have been boiled for 10 minutes. Oh, you can, or else ptomaine poisoning. Fresh pork though. Well, very little. That pig might have been fed garbage. Okay, we got, in this case that I handed out to you, did you notice the guy switched to higher quality mix from a factory farm?
It's the cook that assures that food is safe. And in a restaurant, that means that we have to make sure that they have the tools available, a system available to them to make sure that everything that they do produces a safe product.
On this farm, been fed weird chemicals and all that, millions of places that sell a lot of big, thick cuts of beef also. And we can cook hold it forever.
Thick ones. Are thick ones, but not the thinner ones can go deeper, right?
The rules say 2 inches if you're going to pop it in your cooler to cool it off. There are other techniques. Your cool down food.
How did you get in there?
Well, it keeps me young to come down and
I learn new things every day. We get new programs I have to learn, programs I'd have no use for myself, but I have to learn them to show the teachers how to do them or to help the kids with them.
How long did it take you to learn? And is that a pond?
Well, they fused it together so it's permanently straight, and it's sore, but it's not really painful.
17-year-old Danielle Pogarel sits with her leg propped up in a chair, home from the hospital just days ago. She's adjusting to the fact her leg and her life will never be the same. A year ago, while hunting in Greenie, 40 miles north of Hibbing, a 16-year-old boy shot her twice while she stood in a deer stand.
Well, like I heard it, and then I just felt pain, and then got all warm because all the blood.
One shot hit her in the hip. The other blew off her knee. The gun, a .308 deer rifle with bullets like this. At first, a donor knee was used, but it wore out too fast. Then this staple was put in her knee joint, but her knee eventually collapsed. The only other solution, fusing her upper and lower leg bones together.
I wanted an artificial knee, so then hopefully if they thought of something better in the future, then I could have gotten that done. But now there's nothing I can do about it. So.
You can't turn the surgery back. The time being, saying goodbye to the things she loves most, golfing and dog sledding.
Good luck, Danielle.
An avid musher, Danielle had been called a young Jamie Nelson after completing 2 smaller Bear Grease races. Now, mushing has been put on hold.
I'm just on crutches, so I'm just staying in the house right now because I'm too tired to do anything after just getting back from the hospital. So my dogs just come inside and visit me.
Despite what has happened, Danielle, remarkably, has come to accept the forced changes in her life and gives this advice to hunters out in the woods.
Be careful and be sure what you're shooting at so they don't hit anybody or endanger anybody else.
The injuries are such that we believe would lead someone to believe that the most reasonable explanation is in an assaulting situation.
It is just working so well for my kids that I want to have the choice, my choice, to send the kids to here.
I think that the program is excellent, and I would be very disappointed if we couldn't continue.
Walk is now open. 1, 2, 3. All right. There it is. Thank you. The project itself is just going to make it an area where people can view the most valued resource we have in our community, and that being Lake Superior.
What you're looking at is undercover police video of a man breaking into a car. First he tries to punch the lock. Then he tries breaking the side window with a brick. After stealing the Mustang, he also tries to break into the Bronco. It was about to be stolen, but this time police were able to stop this car thief. Investigator Jim Christensen from the Duluth Police Department says catching car thieves on the scene is usually impossible.
You could probably get in and steal a car 30 seconds, 2 minutes at max, and that's stretching it if you know what you're doing.
Scott Livingston had his car stolen on the east end of Duluth just a few weeks ago.
Well, I was at home. I was going to I sell real estate. I was going to go out on an appointment. I went out to the garage and it was gone. They took it out of the garage.
This story is becoming more familiar in the Northland as auto theft climbs to an all-time high. But on the national level, car theft is actually going down. Between 1994 and 1996, Los Angeles saw a decrease of 19% in stolen cars. In New York City, auto theft is down 37%. But here in Duluth, auto theft has leaped 53% over the last 2 years.
Anybody should be worried. I don't care where you live.
Well, the good news is that around 98% of all stolen cars in Duluth are recovered. But when they're found, they're often vandalized, sometimes torched to destroy the evidence. Investigators say there are basically two types of car thieves that are working over the Duluth area.
So I call them amateurs and opportunists. The amateur is one that'll be looking for a vehicle to steal. They know what type is easier to steal. They know what type of vehicle they're looking for. Opportunists, they see the vehicle running at a convenience store, the bank, whatever. They take the vehicle when it's running.
Where do these cars go once they're stolen? Well, professional thieves sometimes disassemble the car and sell off the parts. But in the Northland, most thieves are amateurs who usually steal a car, take it for a joyride, and dump it after a few days. In Duluth, Adam May, Channel 6 News. Duluth police chase a car thief at high speeds, right through the streets of downtown. The crime of car theft in Duluth has increased more than 50% between 1994 and 1996. Police are concerned.
We see a lot of damage done to vehicles when they're stolen, recovered. Columns are being chipped, windows are broken, items are stolen out of cars.
The recent increase in auto theft is causing the Duluth police to launch a new attack on car thieves called Operation Secure Ride. The new program uses a global positioning satellite. Police will install the GPS system in cars that are most frequently stolen. Then the bait cars will be placed in areas with the highest levels of theft.
A device that we will put in vehicles, and it will signal the police department when a vehicle is stolen.
Once the thief has stolen the car, he or she will be locked inside. The ignition will kill, and officers will surround the stolen car. Well, this system should help police put a stop to car theft. But what can you do to protect your own car? Well, the GPS system is available on some cars like Cadillacs. But adding this system to your own car could cost up to $2,000 plus monthly monitoring.
It's good. It's very good, but it's very expensive too.
We don't see that type of
Jim Christensen investigates most of the car thefts in Duluth. He's witnessed which anti-theft devices work and which do not. He says electronic security systems can deter some thieves, but a good one can cost a couple $100.
Nothing's 100% foolproof. However, if you have any type of a security device on your vehicle, it may prevent it from being taken.
Police say there are simple things every car owner can do to prevent their car from being stolen. First, never leave valuables visibly exposed in your car, and never leave keys in your car. Surprisingly, last year, almost 50 cars were stolen in Duluth with keys in them. Park in a well-lit area or in a locked garage, and don't leave your car running unattended. Well, unless you have thousands of dollars to invest in the GPS system, you might have to use a little common sense and maybe pray for a little luck, so your car doesn't end up like one of these. In Duluth, Adam May, Channel 6 News.
But I'm going to assume somewhere in the vicinity of 14, 15 million will be birthing as well as all the... Oh, this is an enormous attraction, and it's going to be a beautiful park. And it blends together what Mayor Doty wants, which is some commercial, historical development that surrounds it, and it combines well with what we want, which is the historical perspective.
No parking, lines at the register. The problem is compounded the day after Thanksgiving, a day when stores do everything they can to get people spending. We followed one shopper braving the crowds. Meet Patrice Critchley-Menner.
I got my Play-Doh, but I lost my mom. Oh, here she is.
Early in the mission, there are difficulties, but she doesn't panic.
Oh, not really. Most for the kids. But I kind of try and wait till the last minute because I've learned that at the last minute then they decide what they want. Okay, Mom, pick the shortest aisle. Is this it? I think this is it. Well, this wasn't bad for traffic at all. Well, it seemed like I hit some waves of crowds and then some open spaces. Like right here, it's really open. But then over in the toys, it was a zoo.
It was a short list, but the trek is over. And now it's back to the parking lot.
I'm not sure where the car is, but I know it's far away. I see it. We did overshoot. It's over this way. Yeah. That was bound to happen.
Patrice and her mother have decided to call it a day with most of their shopping done. The mission is a success.
There. We're done, I think. I hope.
Jason Rice, Channel 6 News.
The next time you're in the checkout line, you might want to think about those less fortunate. Kids who may not get a Christmas present if it wasn't for Operation Rudolph and Northland generosity.
Each year, you would just be surprised at the overwhelming generosity of the Northlanders in purchasing toys for needy families. And without them, these children would just not have a Christmas.
Last year, thousands of dollars in toys were collected through Operation Rudolph. But often, toys for older children run low. Toy expert Mary Shaw gives us some ideas on donations for kids 10 and up.
Basketball hoops, they're still popular.
Good price on it, too.
$1.99.
There's toy model cars, stuffed animals, sleds, even video games. If you're having some trouble figuring out what to get an older child for your Operation Rudolph donation, keep in mind that some of the most popular toys out now are ones you probably played with as a kid. Games like Battleship or even Clue.
Operation is on one of the top 20 lists. Again, it's a very old game that seems to stay popular. Another game would be Twister. Another old game that's real popular with the group of kids, and you kind of tell by the picture the age groups that they show.
Old-fashioned games or high-tech electronic toys. You can find lots of them in stores this year for under $15, even $10. A small price to pay for what will end up being a priceless Christmas for a child. Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News. In the letter, Martin states, Mr. Gary Bryant Wolf and I have been having fundamental disagreements. He goes on saying how he wants to get into the federal court system, but that Bryant Wolf disagreed. In the federal courts, if Martin was convicted of first-degree murder, he could face a death penalty. In his letter, he states, I am also aware of the federal penalty. Martin's attorney has filed motions of defense citing diminished capacity and mental illness based on intoxication and blackouts. Martin is one of 5 men accused in the beating and shooting death of Paul Antonich, August 28th of 1996. Martin claims he drank a fifth of Southern Comfort and a 12-pack of beer that night. The prosecution is fighting that defense. Legal experts say it is rarely successful, but such a defense has been used in Minnesota.
The insanity defense is in fact what we would call a perfect defense. If the defendant can establish the insanity defense, then they are not guilty by reason of mental illness or deficiency, and so there is then an acquittal entered.
Even though Martin wants Bryant Wolf off his case, Bryant Wolf filed several motions on Martin's behalf Wednesday, including allowing the testimony of a psychiatrist at the pretrial hearing and excluding testimony of Lester Greenleaf and Andy Leo DeVerney, 2 of the 5 defendants convicted of aiding and abetting first-degree murder in this case.
Saws are spinning and hammers swinging as Lake Superior College students build a home from the ground up. And a growing trend is evident in the class. Construction isn't just for men anymore.
I was looking for something that I was really interested in and that I could make a living doing. And my dad and I had done some remodeling and stuff, and so I thought I'd give it a try.
Women are on job sites around the Northland and across the country, putting their expertise to good use. Carpentry instructor Tim White.
And the women, they're just as valuable as the men that I have out here. They all are very, very productive young people that want to become productive members of the construction industry.
Men in the construction class say everyone's equally responsible for quality work and safety on the job. To be good, one must be a team player. If you owned a construction company, would you hire Jody?
I think that would be one of my first choices. She's one of the best workers out here and she keeps on task.
Today's workforce is changing, and for many future contractors, building the American dream for others is living the American dream for themselves.
I think a lot of women are realizing that it's a lot of fun and they can do it. And men are beginning to accept that we can.
Jason Rice, Channel 6 News.
But I don't know, and we're interested in studying. I want to be there for cameras, vehicles, settings to do it. See, there wouldn't be a need for me to be here. But the creatures...
You really believe he's out there then?
Positively. Positively. That's an issue that I would stake my life on. Just to say that the creatures are positively out there, that they are out there. And it's not just a creature, not even a creature in an area, that there are families of creatures out there. But there's actual families living amongst a increasingly populated civilization as humans. Where they stay most of the time. That's what's happening now. They don't hibernate, they are in that respect again, more man-like. There are, in essence, less sightings in summer time. And one I know a guy speaking.
It is made of the white maple tree, with a wassail gold we'll drink to thee. Wassail!
We're going to turn back the clocks 500 years and make it 1497, and we got all the costuming and pageantry of merry old England, and we're going to try to turn back the clocks and make it the Renaissance period once again.
Would you pretend those are like cups of tomato, like flood them back and deck the hall? Yeah.
Just before 6 o'clock last night, Tyson Food employees noticed strange fumes in the basement of the plant.
There were some 55-gallon drums in a room in the basement area that began leaking, and several chemicals mixed together, forming a different chemical.
That chemical's fumes were potentially toxic, so Duluth's hazardous materials team was called to the scene. They took care of the leaking barrels and began the cleanup of the spilled material. For safety reasons, the plant's employees were evacuated from the building.
We're dealing with chlorine, we're dealing with different acids, and everybody, even the layperson, knows that they're very dangerous chemicals.
The fumes were dangerous only in an enclosed area like Tyson's basement. When the fire department vented them to the outside, the surrounding neighborhood was in no danger. By 9:30 p.m., the inside of the plant was safe enough for employees to return to work. In Duluth, Dave Anderson, Channel 6 News.